Welcome back. Now more from our Utopia.
If you want deep powder skiing, a 5 or 6 or 7 inch snowstorm really doesn't cut it. Usually in that case you're settling through the snow and you're riding on the underlying surface. Unless maybe you're in the backcountry and it's falling on kind of a soft, older snow surface. On the other hand, if you get a really big storm, people get excited when it's going to snow 40 or 50 inches. And I always think that's no good. Let's spread it out over a week or two. Because that kind of snowfall causes all kinds of avalanche problems. The resorts have a hard time getting terrain open. It's kind of a problem.
Jim has labeled the perfect storm snowfall for skiing and snowboarding a Goldilocks storm. This is a storm that drops 12 to 20 inches. He believes, not just from study, but from repeated field tests, that it is the sweet spot for deep powder skiing. And this sweet spot is hit most frequently in the Cottonwood Canyons.
The Cottonwood Canyons are in this island of high topography. It's the largest, broadest region of high terrain in the entire Wasatch Range. If you go to the northern Wasatch, where Snow Basin is, the mountains there get up to about 9,500 feet, but not a lot higher. When you come down here into the Cottonwood Canyon area, southeast of Salt Lake City, then you have a whole host of mountains that are up over 11,000 feet. And the mountains are also very wide there, so it's also the widest portion of the Wasatch. So the Cottonwoods see the largest diversity of storms anywhere in the Wasatch, and that's why they get 500 inches of snow a year.
The snow in the Cottonwood Canyons is sometimes referred to as champagne powder. Many believe the snow in the Cottonwoods to be superior to the snow on the backside of the Wasatch Mountain Range in places like Deer Valley and Park City Mountain Resort. This expert has a different take.
So I don't think that the snow in Park City is dramatically different than it is in Alta in terms of its composition or what it's like or what its water content is, but the Cottonwoods get a lot more snowfall, and that's why the skiing's better.
But is the snowfall in Utah changing? In 2014 to 15, northern Utah had a record-setting warm and dry winter season, recording the least amount of precipitation and the highest average daily temperatures from any winter season on record. Warmer temperatures mean more winter precipitation falls as rain rather than snow. This decreases the amount of melting snowpack in the spring and summer, a time when water is needed most. A recent report from hydrologists and climate scientists estimates that for every 1 degree increase in temperature, annual watershed from mountain snowpack could drop almost 4%.
One thing we know today, compared to say 50 or 100 years ago, is the climate is definitely warmer today than it was 50 or 100 years ago. And in the state of Utah, I'd say it's about 2 degrees Fahrenheit warmer now than it was at the beginning of the 20th century. So we're in a warmer climate. For Utah skiers, the good news is that a lot of the terrain we ski is quite high, upper elevation. Wintertime climate is relatively cool. So we haven't seen a lot of loss or basically been able to document loss in our upper elevation snowpack. It does appear that the low elevation snowpack, when we get down below, say about 6,000 feet, that there have been some losses, that we're seeing a little more precipitation during the winter falling as rain instead of snow. Now in any one year, everything depends on what the storm track is like, but that's kind of the long-term trend. It is a good news going forward for us too, that our mountains are relatively high. And as a result, skiing here is going to survive longer than in other parts of the United States or world, like say the eastern United States, where their ski areas are more vulnerable to climate change. How fast that occurs and how long until it really has a detrimental impact on our snowpack, it's going to depend on how high greenhouse gas concentrations go and how sensitive the climate is to those greenhouse gas concentrations. But for me, I'm almost 50 years old. My lifetime, I'm feeling pretty good. My kid's lifetime, then I start to get a little more nervous.
In conclusion, Utah does have the best snow on Earth, or at least here in the States, but only in relation to skiing and snowboarding. A very special thank you, of course, to Professor Steenberg, who can be found at his Twitter and Instagram handle @ProfessorPowder. Secrets to the greatest snow on Earth is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and local bookstores here in the Salt Lake area, like King's English and Weller Bookworks. You might even find a signed copy at one of the local retailers. Now I'll be right back to visit one of Utopia's best family hikes.